Ladies and gentlemen, there are seasons in your life when heaven begins to move, not because of your prayers alone, but because your destiny demands it. And one of the most delicate, divine appointments in your life is the arrival of your soulmate. Not just a partner in romance, but a partner in purpose. Now, I want you to hear me clearly. God is not in the business of sending people into your life just to keep you company. He sends people to align with your calling, your character, and your covenant. So when your soulmate is drawing near, the signs are not always romantic, they're spiritual, they're strange, and yet they are strategic. Let me teach you 3 unusual signs that your soulmate is closer than you think. Before God brings the person to you, He often removes the people around you. You may begin to feel isolated. Certain friendships may dissolve. You may find yourself uncomfortable in spaces where you once felt at home. This is not punishment, it is positioning. In John 15:2, Jesus said, "Every branch in me that does not bear fruit, He takes away, and every branch that bears fruit, He prunes, that it may bear more fruit." God prunes you before promotion. He clears the stage before He brings out the lead character. If everything is shaking, it may be because something solid is about to enter your life. You begin to feel a deep yearning to seek God like never before. You wake up praying. You go to sleep thinking about purpose. You feel a pull to become better, purer, and more focused. This is not random. God is preparing your spirit for partnership, not just passion. In Genesis 2:18, the Lord said, "It is not good for man to be alone. I will make a helper suitable for him." The word suitable means aligned in spirit, purpose, and destiny. When your soulmate is near, your spirit knows before your eyes ever see them. That's why you must walk in the spirit and not in the flesh, because the right person will be recognized, not just discovered. You start losing appetite for the superficial. You no longer crave attention, you crave authenticity. You stop chasing chemistry and start seeking covenant. Proverbs 19:21 says, "Many are the plans in a person's heart, but it is the Lord's purpose that prevails." God often allows us to be disappointed by what we once desired so that we will recognize the value of what He has prepared. The sign is strange, but it's clear. What once attracted you now repels you. What once seemed acceptable now seems immature. That's not bitterness, that's growth. So, God is refining your taste so you can choose wisely when the right person shows up. When it comes to relationships, especially divine ones, many people operate from a place of urgency and emotional need. They feel time is running out, they feel alone, and they begin to question whether God hears their prayers or sees their heart. But the truth is, God does not respond to panic. He responds to purpose. He doesn't move according to our clock. He moves according to His calendar. His calendar. And if we do not understand the nature of divine timing, we will misinterpret delays as denials and become vulnerable to distractions that look like answers but are actually detours. It is important to understand that everything God does is governed by seasons. Just like nature, your life has moments of planting, pruning, watering, and harvesting. And just because you're ready emotionally doesn't mean you're ready spiritually. Many people desire relationships, but God desires maturity. He is more concerned about the foundation than the feeling. Before God connects you with someone, He ensures that you have been processed internally so that you can handle what's coming externally. Because a soulmate is not just someone who makes you smile, it's someone who can walk with you through purpose, pressure, and pain. One of the biggest mistakes people make is assuming that a delay in relationship means they're being overlooked or ignored. But sometimes the delay is the protection. It's in the waiting where God does His best work. While you're wondering when, God is preparing how. He's working on your heart, your habits, your vision, your identity. He's removing the toxic residue of your past, healing the emotional wounds that you thought were gone, and reintroducing you to yourself. Because the real you, the healed, whole, focused you, is the version that God wants to introduce to the one He has prepared for you. Desperation is dangerous. It blinds you to red flags and makes you settle for temporary comfort over long-term calling. And when you're desperate, even a counterfeit will look like a blessing. That's why God often allows seasons of isolation and internal stretching. Not to punish you, but to detox you from emotional dependency. You learn to hear God's voice without the noise of people. You learn to find joy in His presence before you seek it in another person. You learn to stand on your own 2 feet spiritually so that when someone comes into your life, they're not completing you, they're complementing you. The enemy wants you to believe that you're behind, that you've missed it, or that God forgot about you. But that's a lie. Yeah. You are not behind, you're being built. And if you rush the process, you might ruin the promise. God is not just preparing the person for you, He's preparing you for them. You are being refined to carry the weight of a relationship that is kingdom-centered, not culture-driven. A relationship that doesn't just look good on the outside, but one that produces fruit that will remain. There is a divine timeline over your life. Everything has a set time. Your job is not to manipulate the clock. It's to discern the season. And when you're in the right season, you won't have to strive. Things will begin to align. Doors will open without force. Conversations will carry weight. Encounters will feel different. That's how God works. Quietly, gradually, and supernaturally. But it all begins with trust. You must trust that His delay is not denial. Trust that His process is part of the promise. Trust that His silence is not absence. And most importantly, trust that what He has for you cannot be stolen, delayed, or missed when you remain in alignment with His will. So if you're in a season where nothing seems to be happening in your relationship life, don't panic. Take it as a sign that something greater is being formed behind the scenes. Stay faithful, stay prepared, stay discerning, because when God moves, He moves quickly. And the soulmate He has ordained for your life is not just closer than you think. They're closer to purpose than you've ever been before. Your job is not to chase them. It's to become the person they're destined to meet. Divine timing always delivers what desperation never could. Before you can recognize the person God has chosen for you, you must first become the person God has called you to be. That's where internal alignment becomes so vital. Many people desire a soulmate but ignore the condition of their own soul. They want connection but avoid correction. They want love but aren't willing to go through the refining process that love requires. God, however, does not operate by emotion. He operates by order. He aligns your inner world before He blesses your outer world. If your heart, your thoughts, and your identity are out of sync with His plan, then the connection He has for you will either be delayed or mishandled. Internal alignment is the process of bringing your desires, your mind, your habits, and your values into harmony with God's will. When you are misaligned, you will often be drawn to people who reflect your dysfunction rather than your destiny. That's why God doesn't send the right person while you're still addicted to the wrong version of yourself. He loves you too much to give you what you're not ready to handle. He knows that a soulmate will not just walk with you in joy. They'll walk with you through your assignment, through pressure, through seasons of stretching and service. And if you are not in alignment with who you truly are in Him, then even the right person can feel like a burden instead of a blessing. There are moments in your life when you will feel a divine unrest. Everything on the outside may seem normal, but on the inside, something is shifting. You begin to question what used to satisfy you. You start sensing a need to go deeper, to pray more, to study more, to clean up things that were once ignored. That's not coincidence. That's internal alignment beginning to take shape. It's God awakening your spirit and repositioning your heart so that you will not only attract the right person but be able to walk with them in agreement and maturity. You don't just want to be in love. You want to be in alignment, because love without alignment leads to chaos. And it becomes emotionally charged but spiritually empty. And God doesn't send someone to fix you. He sends someone to walk with you. If you are still in pieces, still confused about your worth, still wounded by your past, then your internal alignment will be compromised. You may attract people based on your loneliness rather than your identity. But when you are aligned, you attract differently. You see clearer. You make decisions based on wisdom, not insecurity. You wait with purpose instead of rushing out of pressure. Alignment also brings clarity. It exposes distractions and reveals imposters. When you're aligned internally, you become less tolerant of counterfeits. What once looked attractive now feels shallow. What once sounded promising now feels misleading. That's because your spirit is maturing. God is recalibrating your vision so that your choices match your calling. This is how you avoid settling for a connection that only feeds your emotions but starves your destiny. The one who is truly for you will not pull you away from your purpose. They will magnify it. But you will never recognize that person if you are still misaligned with yourself. Many times, people pray for a relationship, but what they really need is revelation. They need to see themselves through God's eyes, not through the lens of rejection, failure, or fear. So, because how you see yourself determines what you allow into your life. And God often takes you through seasons of internal rebuilding so that you will not disqualify yourself when the blessing shows up. He will affirm your identity, confront your fears, and stretch your vision so that you can carry what He has promised. This is the unseen work. It's not glamorous, it's not always celebrated, but it is necessary. The stronger the internal structure, the greater the external connection. This is why rushing into relationships often leads to regret. If the internal foundation is weak, no external beauty can compensate for it. A soulmate isn't someone who completes your brokenness. It's someone who comes into your life and confirms the healing that has already taken place. But healing and alignment must happen first. You must align your thoughts with truth, your actions with integrity, and your desires with divine purpose. Only then will your spirit be able to resonate with the person God has prepared for you. When your heart is aligned, your choices change. You stop chasing butterflies and start looking for builders. You're no longer impressed by appearances, you're drawn to character. You move from emotional cravings to spiritual confirmation. That's when you know you're ready. That's when you know that God is about to connect what He has aligned. Because when your soul is in order, your relationships will reflect it. The right person isn't just someone who enters your life. It's someone who aligns with your life. And that alignment begins within. There are moments in life when everything familiar begins to shift. Things that once felt stable suddenly seem shaky. Relationships that used to bring comfort begin to feel distant. Your surroundings, routines, and even the people in your circle no longer satisfy your spirit. What you're experiencing isn't random. It's divine disruption. This is one of the most overlooked yet powerful signs that something is about to be birthed in your life, including the arrival of a divine relationship. Before God brings the right person into your life, He often allows things around you to fall apart so that your life can be rearranged to make room for what is sacred. This type of disruption doesn't always come with warning. It can feel like a storm. It may look like rejection, betrayal, loss, or confusion. But don't misinterpret it. What feels like things falling apart may actually be things falling into place. God doesn't build divine connections on cluttered foundations. He clears the space first. He breaks attachments that were never built to last. He exposes hidden idols, people, habits, or comforts that have taken up space in your heart where He should have been dwelling fully. It is in this holy breaking that He prepares you for what's next. Often, people assume that finding the right person means everything will suddenly become easier. But divine connections usually begin with divine confrontation. Before the right person shows up, God confronts the areas of your life that can't go with you into your next season. He will challenge your comfort zone. He will remove access from people who no longer align with your future. He will stir a dissatisfaction in you for shallow living so that your appetite changes. What you once tolerated becomes intolerable. What once satisfied you no longer feels fulfilling. This is not a sign of failure. It's a sign of spiritual evolution. Disruption can come through closed doors. Opportunities you thought were meant for you suddenly slip away. People you thought would be permanent begin to distance themselves. Even your goals may shift. You might lose the desire for things you once chased, not because you've become lazy, but because God is redirecting your focus. He's recalibrating your life to prepare you for alignment with someone whose presence will require a new level of you. And if you're still attached to what's familiar, you may not recognize what's divinely sent. This shaking is not to scare you, it's to shape you. It's preparation through pressure. You are being stretched emotionally, mentally, and spiritually so that when the right person enters, you're not looking for them to fix you, validate you, or complete you. Instead, you'll be ready to walk beside them in wholeness, not dependency. You'll recognize them not by how they make you feel in the moment, but by how their presence aligns with your process and your purpose. God often hides blessings in disruption. What looks like chaos is often divine order being re-established. The sudden loneliness, the unfamiliar path, the awkward transitions, these are not signs that you're being abandoned. They're signs that you're being positioned. He's drawing you out of the noise so that you can hear him clearly. He's disconnecting you from distractions so that you won't miss his direction. And in the stillness, he speaks. In the stillness, he prepares your heart to receive someone who is not just a partner for the moment, but a partner for your mission. This divine disruption also purifies your discernment. When everything is stripped away, you start to see clearly. You begin to realize who was for you and who was merely attached to your comfort. You begin to hear your own voice again, unfiltered by the opinions and expectations of others. And most importantly, you begin to tune into the voice of God with greater clarity. Because in the space of surrender, clarity comes. And with clarity comes confidence, not in your own strength, but in God's orchestration. Sometimes you don't even realize how entangled your life has become until disruption forces you to look deeper. You realize that the reason you couldn't move forward wasn't because of a lack of desire, but because of the weight of unnecessary attachments. And in His mercy, God removes those weights. He shakes the ground so that what isn't rooted falls away, not to hurt you, but to heal you, not to punish you, but to prepare you. So if you find yourself in a season where things are being shaken, understand that disruption is not the end, it's the beginning. Something holy is drawing near. Something holy is drawing near. Someone aligned with your destiny is approaching, but before that person comes, your world may need to be rearranged. And when you look back, you'll see that the disruption wasn't meant to destroy you. It was designed to deliver you into the arms of someone who was always meant to walk with you. There comes a time in your journey when your spirit starts to feel things your mind can't explain. You begin to sense that something is shifting within you, even if nothing has changed around you. You become more aware, more sensitive, more in tune with God's voice and your own inner world. This is not a coincidence. It is a strange but beautiful sign that something divine is drawing near. Often that includes a connection, a relationship, or a soulmate that God has been preparing for you all along. But before you recognize them, your spiritual senses must be sharpened. This kind of spiritual sensitivity doesn't arrive suddenly, it grows gradually. You may notice that your appetite for worldly things begins to fade. The conversations you used to enjoy now feel empty. Entertainment that once made you laugh no longer satisfies you. Your spirit starts hungering for more depth, more truth, more time in quiet spaces. You begin craving not just peace but purpose. You find yourself waking up with a sense of urgency to pray, to seek, to listen. You may even feel a discomfort in your current state, not because something is wrong, but because something greater is coming. God begins to whisper in ways that only your spirit can hear. The noise of life becomes less appealing, and silence becomes sacred. You become sensitive to what you allow into your space, who you talk to, what you listen to, what you watch. It's like a holy filter starts forming over your life. You can't explain it to everyone, because not everyone will understand. But deep down, you know that this is preparation. You know that something is being stirred in the spiritual realm, and your soul is responding. This shift doesn't just change your behavior, it changes your awareness. You start recognizing the patterns in your own life that you used to overlook. You see the wounds that need healing, the habits that need breaking, the cycles that need to end. And as uncomfortable as it may be, you're willing to face it. because you sense that what's ahead requires a new version of you. This is what spiritual sensitivity does. It doesn't just make you feel closer to God, it makes you willing to be transformed by Him. One of the clearest signs that your soulmate is closer than you think is when your attention turns inward. You become less focused on who's coming and more focused on who you are becoming. You no longer ask, when will they arrive? Instead, you begin asking, am I becoming the kind of person who can steward this blessing well? That question alone marks a significant turning point in your spiritual maturity. It shows that your desire is no longer just about companionship. It's about covenant. When your spirit becomes sensitive, you also become more discerning. You're no longer impressed by appearances or sweet words. You begin to recognize spirits. You sense energy, motives, alignment. You can feel when someone's presence brings peace or when it causes confusion. That's not just intuition, it's spiritual perception. It's the fruit of walking closely with God and allowing Him to fine-tune your awareness. At times, this heightened sensitivity can feel isolating. You might feel misunderstood. You might feel the urge to withdraw from crowds or pull back from relationships that no longer align. But that isolation is not loneliness, it's consecration. It's God setting you apart for what He's about to bring into your life. He's preparing a space in your heart that only the right person can enter, and He's guarding that space until the time is right. You may also experience unusual dreams, deep moments of reflection, or an unexplainable excitement about the future. These are all signs that your spirit is catching glimpses of what's ahead. You might not have names or details, but there's an inner knowing that something is being aligned. You start to feel more patient, more grounded, more confident, not because you see everything clearly, but because you trust what you're sensing deeply. This is the beauty of spiritual preparation. God begins the process before the promise arrives. He starts shifting your inner world so that when your soulmate appears, you recognize them not just with your eyes, but with your spirit. You feel the peace, the familiarity, the divine confirmation, and it's not forced, it flows, it feels right. Not because it's perfect, but because it's purpose-driven. So if you're finding yourself in a season where your spirit feels more awake, more alert, more drawn to stillness and surrender, pay attention. You are not losing your way. You are being aligned. Your soulmate is not as far as it may seem. But before God reveals them to you, He's making sure your heart is tuned into His voice, your mind is aligned with His purpose, and your spirit is sensitive enough to recognize what your eyes have never seen. That's how you'll know you were prepared before you were presented. There is a peculiar yet powerful thing that happens when you begin to grow spiritually. You outgrow certain environments, conversations, and even relationships. Not because you are better than anyone, but because you are becoming more aware of what aligns with your purpose. As your spirit matures, your circle often becomes smaller, more intentional, and more discerning. This shrinking circle is not a punishment, it's a preparation. One of the most unusual signs that your soulmate is closer than you think is that you start feeling a divine disconnect from people and spaces you once clung to. It may feel uncomfortable at first, but it is necessary for what and who is coming. God knows that divine relationships require clarity, not confusion. And sometimes the people you are attached to in one season are not equipped to walk with you into the next. They may have been necessary for your growth, but they are not necessary for your future. As you evolve, your heart begins to recognize the difference between emotional attachments and spiritual alignments. You begin to crave deeper connections, not just with people, but with your purpose. Shallow conversations no longer satisfy. Empty interactions drain you. You start longing for relationships that feed your soul, challenge your thinking, and support your calling. This is where divine detachment comes in. It's not cold or arrogant, it's sacred. God gently begins to remove the noise from your life so that you can hear His voice more clearly. He causes you to lose interest in what once distracted you. People who used to be the center of your world now feel distant. Their presence no longer fits your present. It can feel lonely, even painful, but it's divine pruning. God is cutting away what is no longer fruitful so he can make room for what is eternal. Many times we ask God for a partner, but we hold on to people who are holding us back. We want the new, but we stay connected to the familiar. God will not give you a divine connection while you're still entangled in distractions. He will allow those distractions to fade, fall away, or frustrate you so much that you finally release them. This process is part of your preparation. It is how he protects the promise. Because the person he is sending is not just someone to love you, they are someone who is called to walk in purpose with you. And that kind of relationship cannot be built on a foundation of confusion, compromise, or clutter. The people in your life may begin to misunderstand you. They may say you've changed, and they're right. You're growing, you're evolving, you're no longer available for what drains you. You're no longer tolerating what God is trying to remove. And as your standards rise, your space becomes more sacred. You don't entertain just anyone. You don't share your heart with everyone. You protect your peace because you know that your peace is the soil where God is planting something new. During this time, God may not only remove certain people from your life, he may also bring silence. You may feel like you're in a waiting room. No answers, no open doors, just space. But that space is sacred. It's where you regain your focus. It's where you begin to understand who you are and what you truly need. It's where your spirit detoxes from the voices that once shaped your identity. And in that stillness, you become more attuned to the kind of person who will complement your journey, not complicate it. As your circle shifts, you may be tempted to go back to old connections, old flames, old comfort zones. But if you return to what God has already called you out of, you may delay what he's trying to deliver. You must trust that the separation is part of the setup. The space being created is not just emptiness. It's divine expectation. Something is on the way. And the emptier your life becomes of what is unnecessary, the more room there is for what is meant. So if you're in a season where your phone is quieter, your schedule lighter, your social life slower, don't panic. Rejoice. You are being positioned. God is clearing the stage before the right person enters. And when they come, you'll see why the detachment was necessary. You'll realize that the ones who left couldn't carry the weight of your calling. You'll understand that the distance wasn't rejection, it was redirection. It was redirection. And most of all, you'll know that your soulmate didn't just appear out of nowhere. They arrived in a space God had prepared through divine detachment. One of the most telling signs that your soulmate is drawing near is the unexpected emergence of a deep sense of peace. It's not the kind of peace that depends on perfect circumstances or the absence of problems. It's the kind of peace that sits quietly in your spirit, even when everything around you is still in process. It doesn't always make sense in the natural, but it makes complete sense in the spirit. This inner stillness is often the final preparation before divine connection. It is God's way of confirming that your soul has reached a place of trust, rest, and surrender. It is a signal that you are no longer striving to find love. You are now prepared to receive it. This peace comes after the stretching, after the wrestling, after the disappointments. You may not even be able to point to a single event that brought it. It just arrives, subtly, gently, but powerfully. You wake up and realize you're no longer anxious about timelines. You're no longer pressed to prove anything or chase validation. You're no longer in a rush. Instead, you begin to carry a quiet confidence that what is meant for you is already in motion. You begin to understand that peace is not the absence of waiting, but the presence of faith while you wait. Before your soulmate arrives, this peace serves as an anchor. It stabilizes you in moments where you would have once panicked. It silences the internal noise that used to cloud your vision. It gives you the strength to say no to distractions because you're no longer desperate for attention. You're grounded in awareness. You become settled in your identity, certain of your worth and secure in your purpose. This is alignment. It is the evidence that your heart has been conditioned to love from wholeness, not from need. In seasons past, you may have felt the urge to force things, forcing relationships to work, forcing people to stay, forcing yourself to appear ready when you were still healing. But now something has shifted. You're no longer trying to manufacture moments. You've learned to let things unfold naturally. You've grown to trust that what God has for you doesn't require manipulation or control. It simply requires your cooperation and your readiness. This peace is the fruit of that trust. It's the quiet proof that you are no longer ruled by fear, but led by discernment. And this peace does something else. It sharpens your vision. It allows you to see clearly when someone is sent by purpose, not just pleasure. You no longer chase sparks, you look for fruit. You're no longer moved by charm, you're drawn to character. You recognize that peace is not just something you carry, it's something you protect. So when someone enters your life, you measure their presence by whether it adds to your peace or disrupts it. And because peace has become your standard, you are less likely to settle for anything less than what aligns with it. Sometimes this peace will cause people to question you. They may not understand why you're so calm, why you're not rushing, why you've stopped chasing certain things. But that's because they haven't seen what you've survived. They don't know how many nights you cried, how many times you questioned your worth, how often you wondered if real love was possible for you. But now, through the breaking and rebuilding, you've arrived at a place of rest, not because everything is perfect, but because you've surrendered control. You've realized that your job is not to find the person, it's to become the person who recognizes them when they arrive. This peace also creates space for joy. You begin to enjoy your own company more. You laugh more freely, think more deeply, and love more intentionally. You stop performing for acceptance and start living from authenticity. You may still have questions, and your journey may still have detours, but you're not anxious about it. You know that God is orchestrating something behind the scenes that will exceed your expectations. And because of that, you move with calm assurance. So if you feel that strange calm settling in your soul, don't ignore it. It's not a coincidence. It's not just maturity. It's divine confirmation. Your spirit is telling you that you are ready. Not perfect, not finished, but ready. Ready to love from a full heart. Ready to receive someone who reflects your healing, not your hurt. Ready to walk in a relationship that doesn't just make you feel good, but brings you closer to your purpose. And when they come, it won't feel like fireworks. It will feel like peace. It will feel like peace, because peace is the language of destiny. And that's how you know it's not just love, it's alignment. Sometimes the clearest sign that your soulmate is near isn't found in dramatic moments or sudden changes. It's found in your own growth. You start noticing a shift within yourself that is undeniable. You begin to operate with a new sense of maturity. Your thoughts become more disciplined, your responses more thoughtful, your choices more intentional. You're not just growing older, you're growing deeper. Oh, this kind of maturity is not forced by age, but formed through surrender. It comes from learning hard lessons, from wrestling with your past, and from making peace with your process. And when you begin to walk in this level of maturity, it is a signal that you're approaching divine alignment, not just with your purpose, but with the person who was designed to walk beside you in it. You may start realizing that you don't react the way you used to. The triggers that once pulled you into anxiety or arguments no longer have the same grip on you. That's because healing is taking root. You are no longer governed by your emotions. You've learned to process them, to sit with them, and to grow from them. You have discovered the power of self-control, and with it comes a new ability to love. Because love that lasts is built on stability, not emotional chaos. You begin to understand that true love is not found in the intensity of a moment, but in the consistency of character. In this season of maturity, your focus begins to shift from what you want to what you need. You stop looking for someone to complete you and start praying for someone who complements you. You understand that attraction alone is not enough. You want someone whose presence brings strength, whose words carry wisdom, whose values align with yours. And because you've grown, you also realize that you need to be that kind of person too. You are no longer waiting for someone to fix your brokenness. You've allowed God to start healing it. You are becoming whole, and wholeness attracts wholeness. This growth also manifests in how you handle your time, your energy, and your priorities. Or you no longer invest yourself in relationships that drain you. You stop explaining your worth to people who cannot see it. You learn the value of boundaries, not as walls to keep people out, but as gates that protect what is sacred within you. You understand that the right person will not feel burdened by your boundaries. They will respect them, honor them, and even help you protect them. Because when someone is truly sent by God, they don't ask you to shrink. They encourage you to grow. Your conversations begin to shift. You're not just talking about feelings, you're talking about future. You're not just dreaming about chemistry, you're building vision. You're not looking for someone who looks good in pictures. You're looking for someone who will still pray with you when the lights are off and the crowd is gone. That's maturity, that's preparation. And when that kind of mindset takes root in you, you're not far from divine alignment. You also begin to recognize that your past relationships, as painful as they may have been, served a purpose. They were not just experiences, they were teachers. They showed you what you needed, what you were lacking, and what you should never tolerate again. You no longer carry bitterness, you carry wisdom. You no longer blame, you build. You're not looking for revenge. You're making room for restoration. That's when you know something holy is near. Because when you can look at your scars and still smile, it means your heart is being prepared to love again, but this time from a place of strength. This personal maturity is a divine signal. It tells heaven and earth that you are ready, not just for a relationship, but for the responsibility that comes with it. You're not asking for perfection, you're praying for alignment. You're not seeking a fairy tale, you're seeking partnership. You understand that love isn't just about holding hands in good times. It's about holding each other through storms, growing together, and walking in purpose hand in hand. And the most beautiful part is, as you grow, your capacity to recognize what's real increases. You won't need confirmation from others. You'll feel it in your spirit. When the right person shows up, they will not disturb your peace. They will add to it. They won't confuse your path. They will walk beside you in it. And they will not make you question your worth. They will see it, honor it, and match it with their own. So if you've been growing in silence, becoming stronger, wiser, more grounded, know this: it's not for nothing. Your growth is a sign. Your healing is a signal. Your transformation is a trumpet in the spirit, and the one who has been assigned to your life will hear it. They are closer than you think.